Hello, everyone, and good day to you, or good evening, wherever you may be. Hope everything is all right at your location and your situation. This video, if you watched my last one, trying to do little stories from like my experiences with radio and different things. Well, this one is how I got MTV for free and HBO and Cinemax for free. And so this was back in 1981. I was just about to turn 15 years old, I think, when MTV came on for the first time. And I remember I was sitting in my bedroom. It was about midnight, and I had the TV tuned. We had cable TV. I had the TV channel tuned to where it was going to be, where it's coming on. So I had a test pattern on that says, MTV is coming and all that. So at midnight, the screen went off. MTV came on for the first time. The very first time I was sitting there and I watched it. I watched it happen. And it came on the first time. Well, about a week goes by and MTV, they say, call your cable company and get MTV in stereo. So, and it's $4.99 a month. This is again 1981. $4.99 a month for MTV in stereo. So there was no way in hell my dad was going to pay $4.99 extra on the cable bill for me to get rock and roll music stuff. There was no way. So I got to thinking, well, what chances would it be that I could maybe get this for free? There's got to be a way to do it. I can't see them coming out and and doing something to your cable box, because cable boxes back then weren't in stereo. They were just hooked in the little antenna terminals on the back of the TVs that we had then. So I got to thinking, well, I'm gonna try something. So we had a TV in the living room, and I had the TV in my bedroom. And we split it off in the living room. That's how I got into my bedroom. And I had a cable box in there. So I thought to myself, would happen if I took a splitter and split it off of my cable box, ran it along the wall, and hooked it to the antenna terminals on the back of my stereo system. I mean, I can't, it's either going to work or it's not, right? So that's what I did. I went down to our True Value store and I got one of those little 99-cent splitters, where your F connector connects in one and you got spade terminals on the other end that connects under your antenna terminals on your TV. Well, that's the same kind of antenna terminals I had on my stereo. So I bring the cable up, I split it off. I got a little pigtail going to my TV so I can still get cable in my room. And then another piece of just the cable coax, which is RG6, I guess. I ran it around the room to the back of my stereo system, and I screwed it into the terminals of my FM antenna input, screws on the back of the stereo. Well, then I turned on the stereo. I turned MTV on, but I turned the volume down on my TV. And I turned the FM radio on my stereo. And I was watching the TV, and I started at the very bottom of the FM band, like 88 point something. And I just started tuning real slowly. And every time I would hit a station, I would glance at the TV to see if it was the same thing. It wasn't. I just keep going. Well, I got up to 95.9. And all of a sudden, this strong station came in, and I turned, I looked, and there it was. That was where the audio feed, it was sent out at 95.9 on the FM dial. And I'm looking at the TV, and I'm listening to it, and there it is, MTV in stereo, complete stereo. Stereo lights on my stereo, on the stereo system. So I thought, how cool is this, So that's when it all started. At night, I would just turn the volume down on my TV, plug my headphones into my stereo system, pop in a cassette tape, a blank cassette tape, and watch MTV. When a song came on I wanted, just reach over, press, record the song. I made a crap load of mixtapes, I'm telling you. And I still got some of those tapes. I mean, if anyone remembers, and you should, Michael Jackson's Thriller. I still have the recording on a cassette tape from back then, when on the night that the Thriller video premiered on MTV. I've got that on cassette where I recorded it. And just a lot of mixtapes. Now, some of the tapes I've lost. Some of them got recorded over. And but yeah, that was the coolest thing. I'd go to school and I'd tell everybody how I got, oh yeah, I've got MTV and stereo, and they, I didn't tell them how I did it, but that was just so cool. And that went on for years, I guess, and then MTV started to change, and my dad got sick and he died, and the whole thing just kind of went to shit. And when I moved, I unhooked everything, and that was that, because cable changed, and we moved out here in the country, got satellite stuff, and MTV sucked by then. So, but yeah, there for 2 or 3 years at least, I had MTV and stereo for free, and it was just really cool. That, back then, but that wasn't the end of it. Here where I live in Southern Illinois, there was a guy, and he's dead now, and I forgot his name. It's been too long ago. But he was really good with electronics. I mean, really good. And he worked for a cable company that was in our area back then. And he figured out a way that he could manufacture a little descrambler box that would allow you to get HBO and Cinemax for free. So I was a motorcycle rider. I had a 1982 Suzuki GS 1100E and a Kawasaki. And he also was a motorcycle rider, and he was telling me about this one day. And I said, well, could you make me one? And he was sort of hesitant about it, because I said, I promise I won't tell anybody where I got it, who made it. I won't even tell them I have it. And he said, okay, he made me one. And what it was a little metal box, probably 3 inches square, I guess, somewhere around there. And it had a F connector on one side and an F connector on the going out. And in the middle, you had a knob. I guess it had a little circuit in there you could tune, but there was this little knob on there you could turn with your fingers. So I got one from him. I took it home. I put it in my room again. I unhooked the cable from the back of my TV, screwed it into this box, and came out of the box to my antenna terminals on the TV. And then I would tune to HBO if there was a movie on I wanted. And it would be all just scrambled, all scrambled. These lines are going across. You can't see nothing. Well, then you started to turn this little knob real slow. And right when you hit it, the picture would just pop in. The picture and the sound, clear as could be, just like you're watching regular cable TV. So, and then Cinemax was the same way. You tune to Cinemax and you tune it back a little bit. When you hit it, boom, Cinemax right there. So let's just say that by having access to that for a good 5 or 6 years, I built up a pretty good library of VHS movies that would play on HBO and Cinemax. And I had a pretty good video collection there on VHS tape. Still have some of them, by the way. Still have a VCR, and I play some of them sometimes. But that was really cool. But I did keep my promise. I did not tell anybody I had it. the cable company didn't find out about it because they never, if they came out for the cable or something, they just stayed in the living room. They didn't go back into the room where my room was, because we had the coax hid, and if I knew the cable company was coming to do something, we would just unhook it in the living room and hide the cable until he left, and not hook it back up. So, yeah, I had it. I had HBO and Cinemax for free back when they were basically new services. You know, HBO and Cinemax is still pretty new. I mean, HBO has been around actually since the 70s, but it was new in our area. And, you know, it was kind of a big deal to have HBO and stuff like that because they played movies. And, but yeah, it was, I never told anybody, you know, as far as anybody knew, yeah, we just had HBO and Cinemax. I didn't tell anybody it was a box or who made it or, you know, a legal descrambler. But yeah, that was pretty fun times, and you know, getting MTV for free, getting HBO and Cinemax for free, built me a good mixtape collection of music, a good video, a VHS tape collection of movies, and yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. I was a teenager, you know. I turned 20 years old in December of 1986. So from 1979 to 1986 was my teenage years. 1986 I started my 20s. So I got to live the 70s and the 80s, and you know, I got to see all this stuff come in and experience it for, you know, the first time. And it was really great. But yeah, and what was really great though was being a young teenager or middle-aged teenager, you know, 14, 15, 16, and some of those late night movies that they would show on Cinemax. I recorded a few tapes on that back then, which was really something to us back then. You know, that was nothing. You know, it's nothing like today what you can get. But they would show some, you know, pretty raunchy movies sometimes. Cinemax would at 1 or 2 in the morning, and I just record them, and that was something for, you know, 15, 16-year old. But yeah, those days are gone now, but that's some great memories to, I think back on my teenage years there in the first half of the 80s. Second half of the 80s wasn't as good because my dad got sick and he died when I was 21, just about 22. And you know, just life started then. But yeah, for that time period though, I'd say, you know, 1976 to 1986, that was a great 10 years. 10 years old, 20 years old. And getting that stuff for free, and, you know, just, you'd go to school and say, you know, I'd go to school and say, yeah, I watched so-and-so last night on HBO, and everybody's like, oh, I wish I could watch, you know, it was fun. But yeah, that's how I got HBO for free. I don't know whatever happened to that little box. There's a lot of things from I had back then that I guess got lost when my dad died and I packed everything up and moved out of that apartment, and I wish I still had today. But yeah, that was some good memories. But that's the little story of how I got MTV, HBO, and Cinemax for free back in the 80s. And so I'm not sure what I'll do another video on. I'll think about it. And again, you know, I know this is a small channel, but I appreciate everybody that watches, and I don't expect much out of it. But every once in a while, I figure out something I want to upload. I hope everyone finds it sort of interesting. And if you have insomnia or something, you've listened to these last 2 videos and it's helped you sleep, then, you know, great. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Sticking around this long to listen to this rambling story. And I really appreciate it. And I will see you next time. Everyone take care. And happy listening. And until next time.